It's been a minute since we've traveled around British Columbia. We're going to take some time over the next few weeks and months to pop into some of our favorite destinations and some new destinations to get our feet on the ground and figure out what is going on from a real estate perspective in different communities. This should be interesting. We're going to step outside the Lower Mainland and again start in British Columbia and work our way east to different cities and different areas. So if you have an area or a city that you'd like to hear more about, make sure to send us a DM on our Instagram, Thrive Mortgage Co. or at the YVR REMO Show, where we can, of course, see if we can find somebody great for an episode in those different cities. Today's episode, we have Mitch Bussieres. I've known Mitch for about 2 years. Young guy, only 26 right now. He's done some incredible work in a short amount of time, helping out a lot of families, buying multiple properties of his own, and just generally speaking is a very knowledgeable guy. Great to work with and just very patient. I think there's going to be a lot of value in this episode, but make sure to stay tuned towards the end where he talks a little bit about himself and his personal experience learning how to invest in real estate on his end, even being a young guy, some of the things that he picked up. Again, guys, if you're enjoying the episode, just do us one favor. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, and share us out on IG. You can share out the podcast, Facebook, whatever works for you. If you're enjoying the show, we just ask you to help us spread the word. Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on the other side. What's up, guys? You are listening to the YVR REMO Show, where we talk all things Vancouver real estate and mortgages, take boring topics and make them interesting. Make sure to stay tuned to listen to everything you need to know how to put cash back in your pocket, create wealth in real estate, and simplify the complicated. Mitch Bussieres from Nanaimo Remax. Welcome to the show, my man. Really good to finally get you on here. I know it's been a couple years in the waiting, so excited to have you join and share with us the most recent update on Vancouver Island and Nanaimo area that we need to know about, and everybody listening to the podcast needs to hear about, buddy. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex and Derek. Happy to be here.
Right on, right on. So the reason I said that we need the update is because we've had folks come on, but it was 2020 the last time we had anybody come on the show and talk anything about what was happening on Vancouver Island. And during that time, one of the hottest topics was people buying real estate and moving away. Now, 2 years later, that's just been obviously a trend that's blown up, with people moving literally across the country, different provinces, cities, towns, all these different spots. But specifically, the island was one of the first big ones. And during the year 2021, quite literally blew up. Values of homes were, at the time, I remember like $600K for a Nanaimo detached house with a suite. And now we're talking about, I don't know what, $1 million?
Yeah, we peaked at about $1 million in, February, March, and we're down to about 900K right now.
So it's been a bit. It's been a long time. We've seen a long road, but we brought you on here to talk a little bit about realistically. Why don't we just start on talking a little bit about where is Nanaimo at right now, quite literally from a buyer's perspective and a price point perspective. I guess this would be sellers as well, but where do we stand today? And you mentioned February to today, so maybe just walk us through what the last 6 to 12 months have been like, and yeah, where we are now.
As you did the rest of Canada, we saw huge price increases throughout 2020 and 2021. That did peak in about early this year. I'd say February, March. We actually had, for 1 month, we had our average sales price at $1,001,000. So for 1 month, we had an average sales price over the $1 million mark. And then since then, we've seen, a general slow decline kind of month over month over the past 5 months. So right now, our June stats just came out July 1st, a couple days ago. That came in at $883 for the average single family house in Nanaimo. Townhouses are sitting around $550, and condos about $475. And, with that, our sales are down a little bit. I don't think we've been hit as hard as maybe some of the higher priced areas like Surrey and Toronto. I follow a lot of people online, and, they were posting some kind of drastic, month over month and year over year differences in the last little bit. And I think just because our prices haven't appreciated that much, we've been a little bit more protected from the drastic declines.
Do you have numbers on days on market current compared to maybe even 6 months ago?
Yeah, so our days on market right now for single family at least is around 23, 24. Peak COVID, it was sitting around like 2 weeks.
I don't have the stats for the Fraser Valley, Greater Vancouver, but I feel like you're a month to 2 months out here. So that's, not as big of an impact for sure.
Yeah, we're still having some inventory like go up and sell first day on market. And then other stuff obviously taking, 3, 4, 5 months. Our months of inventory all throughout COVID, it was at about a month. And now we're just shy of 3 months of inventory.
We should break that down, hey Mitch, when you're getting into that point, because some of the listeners might not know exactly what even that means and how to specify a month on inventory relative to buyers or sellers demand and what that looks like. Do you have like a general guideline as to A, what that means, and B, what would be considered a buyer versus seller market when you're talking about days or months on the market?
Yeah, so it's essentially like a saturation. If no new listings came onto the market, how many months would it take at our current sales rate for us to run out of inventory? So all throughout COVID 2021, it was mostly actually under a month. So if no new listings came up within less than 30 days, we would run out of inventory. Now, if no new listings came up starting today, we would have about 2.8 months of inventory. And, people say between 1 and 3 months is a seller's market. Between 4 and 6 is like a balanced market, and then 6 and above is a buyer's market.
So based on what you're saying right now, you're trending right now pretty quickly, or well, I shouldn't say pretty quickly, but we were in an insane market before. Now we're still in a seller's market, but we're trending towards what you would consider to be a balanced market. Is that where things are looking right now?
Yeah, I think that would be accurate. Yeah.
Where I want to take that from there is just actually trends, and specifically, and the reason again I want to touch on this is because there's a lot of people listening to our podcast that are from the mainland or different areas. And again, that big trend was people leaving the mainland or the big cities, in any city for that matter. In fact, we saw a lot of people coming from Toronto to the island for a while. I know you did too, but what does that look like now for you? Are you still getting a lot of that? Are you still getting a lot of people moving around? Or what is the common type of, I guess, buyer that you're seeing come to Vancouver Island now in 2022?
We still do get a lot of that. We have a lot of your mom and pop and your Nanaimo born and raised. That does make up a good portion of our buyer segment. Well, if you look at Vancouver, Fraser Valley, Victoria, their prices have all, I think, appreciated out of most people's budget. And the average person, if you're making $100,000 a year, it's tough to get a single family house there. And so I think that's what was appealing to so many people, was that Nanaimo was still central to everything. You're an hour and a half away from Victoria, from Vancouver, an hour and a half from Tofino on the west coast. So just a central area that has all your amenities. You have a big hospital, you have Costco here. But just at a bit more appealing price point.
I feel like that market was definitely uncovered, I guess you could say, with COVID, right? Because even though prices have risen, it's still dramatically cheaper than the Fraser Valley or Greater Vancouver, right? And it seems to be a hot spot, especially with the way that COVID went, with everyone being so isolated. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. There's mountains, there's ocean, there's, you kind of have everything that you want if you want to live that outdoorsy types of lifestyle. And we've helped a ton of clients transition that way. And even now we're still seeing that, right? Because the alternatives are, you move further east to Chilliwack, but the prices there have gotten out of control as well.
Yeah. And I had a guy move from Chilliwack to the island. He's an accountant. And, his area that he was looking in was about an hour. Because he said when he was in Chilliwack, he would drive an hour into Vancouver anyway. So if he's commuting in the morning, 45 minutes on the Island Highway, which is an easy drive, to him, that was just gravy instead of sitting in bumper to bumper traffic.
So I guess that leads us to our next point, and you kind of discussed about people making the move over to the island and the valley and the desirability of Nanaimo and I guess the areas surrounding that. But we also, the reason that we started connecting previously was to a degree because of people investing into real estate on the island. Nanaimo, again, was the key point, and that included people purchasing properties to rent out, properties to have suites, purchasing condos as investments. I mean, I guess what I would love to know is, again, 2 years later, What like is Nanaimo still a desirable place for people to consider parking their money from an investment perspective when there could be again higher returns on investment from a cash flow perspective in other cities? And if so, where are people investing right now when it comes to Nanaimo?
I think probably you'll always be able to go to, Alberta, the prairies, or the East Coast and generate a higher, cash flow return. In Alberta, you can get, a suited house, 400, 450K. When you're looking at it like that, I don't think BC and the West Coast and Vancouver, Victoria, Nanaimo is ever really going to be able to compete with that. But you can still get good cash flow here, while also seeing good property appreciation as well. So, you get the best of both worlds. Most people I see, a lot of people buying like a 2-bedroom condo. You can get a cheaper 2-bedroom condo. Our rents actually are quite high. I remember chatting with you about some properties, and you had responded saying like, wow, those are like Vancouver rents. For a 2-bedroom condo, you're probably $2,000 to $2,200. And then for the people that have a bit more money, a lot of people end up going towards a single family house with a basement suite or an in-law suite. And that route nowadays, you have a house upstairs, you're generating between, probably 28 and 3,500 a month. And then in the basement, you're generating between 16 and 2,000 per month. So, I mean, you can have a single family house here with 2 units generating, $5,000 plus a month.
And this is like a $900,000 price point?
Yeah, even cheaper. Yeah, you can get, I was looking at one today, 770, 5-bedroom house, 2 baths, 3-bed, 1 bath upstairs, and then 2-bed, 1 bath down below. So you run the numbers on that, you're going to be cash flowing, at least $1,000 a month.
Compare that to a townhouse in Langley as an example, which right now I guess you're probably getting a 2-bed, maybe squeezing a 3-bed, I'm not sure, and you're probably renting that for $2,200 to $2,400, I would think. So that's a dramatic lift. I mean, you're doubling your rent, right, for the same price, and it's detached.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell people our rents all the time, and they're astonished at what we're able to generate for rents. I just had clients rent out a 4-bedroom house for $3,600 a month.
Okay, let's circle on that for a second here. You're looking at being able to generate decent cash flow. Obviously, when we started chatting, the better part of, I don't know, a couple of years ago, those same properties were about 100K or 150K less, and the numbers were really, really good. Are you seeing people, kind of slow down their interest in investing in Nanaimo due to the fact that the price points are higher and start to head up to different points up island, or are they still sticking around?
A bit of both. Some people are sticking around. We have seen, I've had quite a few clients end up purchasing in Port Alberni. Port Alberni rents are a little bit lower, but the prices are significantly lower as well. I mean, the prices are, probably $200,000 lower on average for a single family.
Pretty small town, right? Port Alberni?
It is, yeah.
If somebody's going to go that route and they're going to go to Port Alberni instead of looking at, obviously Nanaimo, from my perspective, the biggest drawback is what you had mentioned earlier is maybe perhaps the lack of growth and appreciation in those towns. Is that what you're seeing, or is there a little bit more turnover, or what's the appeal to go there versus Nanaimo at that point?
The people that I see that are going to Port are just doing it because maybe they want a freehold detached property and their budget just doesn't allow it in Nanaimo, and they still want something on the island or in BC. So Port Alberni is just the next option that they can still get something.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the Port Alberni Valley people would be like as a kind of a plan B or an alternative option.
Well, sell us on it. Why should somebody be investing in Nanaimo? What's the big play here? And where are the opportunities that someone should be looking to go if they're looking to get a return in Nanaimo? If it was your money today, what types of properties would you be looking at right now?
I think that Nanaimo has a lot to offer. Like I said earlier, we have a Costco here. We have the biggest hospital north of the Malahat on Vancouver Island. There's endless amenities here. Obviously, you don't have to deal with any of the winters that you would in northern BC or Alberta. And you're central to everything. You can get to Seattle, Victoria, Vancouver, the west coast of the island, and the border of the states, all within, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I have clients that still work in Vancouver. They'll take a helijet or a seaplane once or twice a week, leave downtown Nanaimo, and then 20 minutes later, they're downtown Vancouver. So I think it's appealing to a lot of people in that sense, and you get all this, but at prices that are significantly more affordable than you'd find in the Fraser Valley or in Vancouver.
With a mindset here that you can get the decent rental returns, you still have a desirable and growth-based economy. We started the conversation the other day about, okay, or just earlier today, about where the values could be going. And one of the ways that we had discussed that was the densification of this particular city. I mean, obviously, we've already seen that happen in Victoria for years and years and years. But Nanaimo, I mean, up until the last couple of years, was still one of those kind of blue-collar towns, single-family homes. Everybody had to have a yard. And obviously, we've seen a shift here into more density, townhomes, condos, that sort of thing. And so, I mean, in talking about potential for opportunities, I mean, why don't you walk us through what you were referring to in regards to rezoning and upcoming opportunities, and where the play could be from an investor looking to park their money into Nanaimo?
Just due to so many people moving here, and also just the government. I don't want to get into politics, but they do get a lot of backlash about not providing affordable housing. So they do want to provide more density. I have some developer clients of mine that are working on a project in North Nanaimo. They wanted to do townhomes because they like townhomes, they like to build, and they just like selling townhomes. But the city actually wanted them to do condos, and they were really pushing hard and giving them some pushback. So they ended up going with 28 townhomes on the site, but the city wanted like a 50, 60 unit condo building. So that just shows you kind of the thought perspective and kind of where City Hall is at in council. And in Nanaimo's OCP, they have a bunch of roads designated as corridor routes. And I think these are a great opportunity because on these corridor routes, they're zoned for medium to high density, or that's what the city would like to see there. So, and the zoning, if you have a regular, a regular city lot, the city will approve rezoning on these lots, and you can get anywhere between in the OCP, it states you can get anywhere between 4 and 12 units per city lot. So I think those are a great option. They're on, busier feeder routes. Yeah, Bowen Road, Metro, Wakasai, if anyone's familiar with Nanaimo. And, whereas these busier roads, you typically see a discount given because, people don't want to be on a busy street. I think you can actually kind of flip that and use that as a positive, picking this real estate up for cheaper, and then having the play down, maybe 5-10 years down the road, when you can pick up the neighbor's parcel or go in with your neighbor and go to the city and do a rezone and have this piece of land that, is suitable for 4 to 12 units.
Are these properties that you're talking about, are they selling for a premium currently because of the OCP?
There is, it has started to pick up. There's certain stretches of it where it's kind of became more common and people are more aware of it. But no, I would say they're probably selling at about par right now.
So why do you think that is? Why, like, on your standpoint, is just something that's basically like, how long of a play, I should say, first of all, is this for someone who's looking to buy and hold? And is there a reason that we're not seeing a bunch of developers come in there and snatch up quite yet? Or are you already seeing that?
I think you're already seeing that. I think the one thing stopping developers coming in is just the timeline. The city of Nanaimo is notorious to be slow when working with approvals, and I don't know what it's like in Vancouver and Surrey and stuff, but city of Nanaimo is just notoriously slow. Developers, if they have investors and they're wanting to see a return on their investment, within 2 years, it's just going to be a longer process than that, which is why I think, it can cater to the person who has a long-term mindset. You either live in the house or you put tenants in there, and then in the background you can work on the rezoning or the subdivision while it's still bringing in monthly income.
Does this OCP cover any existing acreages that someone might be able to purchase, or is it mostly city lots? Like, I know you mentioned they're just kind of smaller standard lots.
Yeah, there's a few acreages left in town. Most of those have been kind of snatched up and redeveloped. This is the city of Nanaimo OCP too. So if you go a little bit on the outskirts, that falls under the regional district, and they have a different OCP.
And how did that market do through COVID? Because just speaking to the Valley, the acreage market absolutely exploded because everyone wanted more land, right? And actually the multi-generational buying has become a lot more popular as well. Buying a place with 2 homes or a house and a suite for you and your parents.
Yeah, very similar. Acreage, even like mini acreage, even just a half acre, an acre, those properties all took off during COVID.
Well, there's a lot going on over there. And I mean, again, circling back to the other opportunity that people so let's say they don't have 10 years or 5 years to sit on these pieces of property where these growth opportunities are. You mentioned that there's, again, the density is growing, or at least we talked about that briefly before. So what does that look like from a demand standpoint when it comes to condos and townhomes? And do you see an opportunity there for someone to park their money like they've done here? I mean, we're not a big fan of obviously telling people to just buy properties based on appreciation and assign them, especially with the new rules. But I guess, are you seeing more of that right now, or are you seeing things get snatched up? And if so, why?
Yeah, so are you talking to about pre-sales or just?
Yeah, specifically a lot of the new developments with condos and townhomes that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so we had one in Nanaimo, Lakeview Terrace. That got brought to market November 21. They sold out 170 units within 2 weeks, I think. That was a bit of a different one where the developer actually didn't allow assignments. We did see a big investor pool there, but not as much speculation. Yeah, I think that has slowed down. There is one in Parksville going on right now that does allow assignments. But I think with some of the, just some of the headlines nowadays and interest rates ticking up a bit, and then also the new rules surrounding assignments, we've seen significantly less.
I think at the end of the day, it'll be an interesting little play here for the next little bit, and you're probably going to see more of the quote-unquote savvy investor come into to jump into these types of markets. I guess following. I mean, we covered a lot of ground. Obviously, where is the Nanaimo market? What's going on? Where would the development opportunity be? A little bit about just kind of the mentality of the buyer. I guess, Mitch, from your side of things, obviously a relatively young guy, 26 years old. We just helped you acquire. What was this? Is your third or fourth property? I can't remember off the top of my head here, but
No, that was my third.
There we go. It's your third property in just a couple of years here. I mean, I do want to stop for a second and just touch briefly on just what you've done here in the last couple of years. One, obviously purchase a property that you've got a house with a suite, which I know you've spent some time in renovating. Another house with a suite, if I can recall directly, which you done a joint venture partnership. And then you've done recently a pre-sale and converted that into an owner-occupied home and renting out the other. I mean, the biggest thing for me in talking to you has been just the fact that you've been an action taker from start to finish. And I really want, some of our newer or younger crowd to hear this kind of stuff. Like, what was the biggest barrier for you to kind of take those leaps and steps in each of those situations, and what pushed you forward?
I've enjoyed my journey in real estate so far. It's I bought a place in like the thick of COVID. I think it was March or April 2020. So fear was super high, but prices hadn't ticked up at that point. So my biggest hurdle was just getting the down payment and the mortgage approval set up was my biggest hurdle. But yeah, I bought a house, a standard BC box, kind of like the ugliest one on the street, stained carpets, smoke smell, gross backyard. And, cleaned it all up, put a basement suite into the bottom, and then moved into it, and then refinanced that about a year later, and then used that money from the refinance to purchase another suited house with a partner of mine. Again, that one was, kind of the grossest house on the street, that needed flooring, paint, and some updates. By buying those ones, and I think that can, be something that people take in, maybe a shifting market as well. I think, buying something, I call it like a wedge deal, where it is, there's some room for you to increase the value, whether that by just, cleaning it up and doing renovations, because I think that can protect you even if, the market is, shifting down. But we did the same with that one, and then refinanced that about a year later after we had our tenants in there. And then I used those funds to purchase the condo. And, I don't think I'm unique. I think anyone can do that. I think saving up the first 5% and the money to do the renovations is the hardest part. It should also be noted that I didn't do any of the renovations myself. So if you're handy, you'd be in a way better position than I would, because I had to pay contractor rates. To get all the renovations done. So, if you can do the painting and flooring yourself, yeah.
Hey, remember, there's a mortgage program for that, the purchase plus improvements. You can always add those rentals on. Basically, you were able to acquire one property, acquire another. You did do a joint venture. You've done a renovation. Now you bought a pre-sale. You've done a variety of different things. Thinking about going forward after looking at all three of those different investment opportunities, which one do you think was perhaps, maybe not, I don't know if you could say best, but which one was your favorite of the investment opportunities that you think you've done best on and are most interested about pursuing going forward?
The last one, the condo pre-sale, was more of just a lifestyle choice. I got tired of maintaining the backyard of my house, and I just wasn't using the full house. And the condo that I purchased is, going to be close to my gym and work and everything. So that one was more from a lifestyle choice, as less than an investment. I think the best one was my first one, just buying, a standard BC box as an owner occupier, moving in, doing the updates, putting in a basement suite, and then looking to refinance a couple years down the road. I think that was the best investment, and I think anyone can do that. Ideally, if I was to go back, I'd probably maybe even would have moved into the second one, just so if you didn't have to put 20% down, that's probably what I would do, and I would just have as many insured mortgages as I could and just use the money for renovations or as a down payment on the next one, as opposed to trying to save up the 20%.
Yeah, good to know. It's always cool to kind of go through that experience and then figure it out later to decide what was it that was impactful or what wasn't, and obviously what you would continue to do going forward. So hopefully someone listening to this show will get excited by that opportunity and think about what they want to do there. So basically, in summary, I guess the Nanaimo market has slowed down like many of the other markets. There are still opportunities out there. It's not just single family home, but perhaps if you're looking for a market where there is still appreciation in the marketplace, right? Like you've mentioned here, there's still opportunities because of the growth that Nanaimo represents. But you don't want to obviously park your money into like Vancouver because it's too expensive to buy a single family detached. It sounds like this could be a good market for someone to consider, whether they're on the mainland and they want to just jump over with a quick little airplane ride or something else. Is that something that you recommend or suggest?
Of course. Yeah. I'm super bullish on Nanaimo real estate, and I think it was kind of just an uncovered little gem for many years, and I think it's a great alternative to people looking at the mainland, Fraser Valley, Victoria.
Love it. So many different opportunities out there. Awesome, Mitch. Thanks for joining us today, man, and sharing a little bit more information. We'll put all of your information in the bio, or I should say in the show notes, so that people can find you on Instagram or Facebook or email or whatever they'd like to do. So, of course, if the island is a place that you're looking, you need to be talking to Mitch. Thanks for joining us today, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Alex. And if anyone's looking to chat about Vancouver Island real estate, specifically Nanaimo, Duncan, Parksville area, reach out, Alex. My contact info will be there, and always happy to chat real estate.
Rock and roll. Thank you, sir.